Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
What's going on, guys, and welcome to the first episode on this podcast. I am your host, Danny Lee. Today we have Daniel Clanton. Welcome to the show. All
Thanks,
right, guys.
Dan.
Oh, sorry, my fault. Go ahead. You can introduce yourself a little bit. Go ahead.
Yeah, so my name's Daniel Clanton. I'm the Director of Business Operations here at Bear Performance Nutrition. My main role here is working with the athletes that we have on the team and then building out what is our ambassador program.
Mm-hmm. Like speaking of, like with the ambassador program, like what do you actually do and like how do you actually run this business for them?
Yeah, so the program's been around for about 4 months now. So there has been 2 selection process. So that's part of my job is running through a number of applications. This time it was our biggest launch ever. So we had over 3,000 applications. So I go through those from just a one-dimensional. I'm looking at what is online, and then I have phone conversations with those individuals that I move forward. And I don't have a set range of people, so I go through those. And then the other part of it is like once people are in the program, I do a weekly Zoom call with them to talk about different leadership topics, explain more in depth behind the scenes of like BPN. So like, what is the mission? What is the purpose of our business? How do we educate and lead people? And then kind of the opposite of those calls is having ambassadors share their story. Like, how did they become the person that I saw before I brought them onto the team? And how has this program led them into new ventures? How has it caused them to try new things? Like one of our ambassadors, Adam Klink, who's now an athlete, he just recently did a sub 5-minute mile and a 500-pound back squat in the same day. And that was a goal he pushed himself, just being around this team. So from a daily aspect, it's just like leading those calls and then following their content, engaging in it, helping them post better. And better is probably the wrong word, but like be more value-based and engaging with their followers through their stories and their posts. So it's just more of like, almost like Big Brother, kind of sit back and just watch the content, and then have kind of one-on-one coaching, just like we're doing here. Like I pop on a Zoom and have a conversation.
Right. That's pretty impressive. Like out of like those 3,500 people that apply, like how do you actually like pick the right one to be a part of the BPN team? And like, what is like your advice for like future potential like people that want to become an ambassador for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, so some of it is success indicators is what I like to call it, and that is like follower count, likes, and comments. But it's not all about that. To me, that's an indicator that whatever their purpose, their vision, the goals they're chasing are being received well from their followers. So like if it were like me posting about a transformation going from 300 pounds to 190 pounds, and I had 1,000 likes and 100 comments saying like great job, or like how can I be a part of this, or how did you get here? Like that to me, when I'm looking at an ambassador, is like, okay, the content you're putting out there is resonating with your followers. The other piece of it is just symmetry, right? Like, does it look aesthetically pleasing to the eyes? And that doesn't have to be the same format for 1,000 photos. It's just maybe 3 or 6 photos is in the same theme. It's on the same path. So think of a book. You have chapters. So that's what I kind of look for, is symmetry in your posts. Like, does it look like you have the same type of filters and organization? And really, I hope when I click on their page that they have stories and I can get to see their personality. Like, I want to see their personality in their stories and hopefully talking on their stories. When I took this job, I didn't really do that a whole lot. And I've stretched myself as the leader to do that more, even though I'm busy, because I want to make sure that I'm leading from the front. So to wrap that up into how do you become a potential ambassador to get on a call with me is an organized page. Your posts are having true engagement with the followers that you do have, and then just having consistent stories where you're actually talking on them, because I want to see personality in those stories.
Like the most important thing I feel like, because like I feel like it doesn't really matter how much followers you have, because like me and like some other guy, as long as like we're able to like influence our followers, like that's like the main important goal, I feel like, because like it doesn't, like if you have a lot of followers but like they don't engage in what you're posting, like what's the point of it? But if you have like 500 followers and like 300 of those followers are like commenting on your stuff, DMing you and like asking you for your advice, like I feel like that's the best thing to have.
Yeah, I mean, I think I recently learned and was able to now explain to you how I look at a profile. So there's an article that was written years ago, and then they recently revised it.
Hmm.
And the title of the article, you can Google it, is "1,000 True Fans." And it was really talking about someone that's in an influencer space to be able to build a business out of it, to actually be an influencer that makes money for their living and not making millions, making a normal living so that that can be your full-time gig. But the idea in there is that it doesn't take millions upon millions of followers to make money. It takes fans or people that believe in you. You yourself on that Instagram page or Facebook have to view yourself as a business. They support you. They are your customers. They want to be a part of what you're doing. And that it takes a small group of people and true engagement with those people, and they are lifelong followers and supporters of whatever you're doing.
Hmm. Exactly. How would you say like being able to like work with Nick and seeing like what he has done over like the eight years like leading this company? Like, what is like the culture like working with him, and like what was like the best thing you would say about him?
So I met him at the end of 2016. I actually was talking to a friend a few days ago. Him and I were local buddies at a powerlifting gym, and we were looking for a new place. And he actually had happened upon a BPN flight, and I told him this. I was like, "Man, you actually the one that introduced me to that company." But I found him at the end of 2016. They were opening a gym, and I was able to be a member. I was local, so I was very fortunate that I was able to meet him in that facet. But the one thing I will say about him and this company that he's built and why I'm here is that he's built a competitive family environment, not just a competitive environment where everyone is gunning for number one. There will be moments where there are 10 great ideas on the table, but we go with the best one. And so it's a competitive environment where everybody is chasing the same goal. And that goal is to spread BPN's mission, which ultimately brings customers to the table. They want to be in the family forever, and then they buy the product, right? And then the company is successful, but like the purchasing of the product is last. It's just like, to answer the question directly, is a competitive environment. That's why I'm here.
Right, right. What would you say about like the value of VPN, like spreading the awareness of like going one more?
Yeah, I mean, so that is one of the things that I ask in this program is like, how do you live that go one more mindset in your life and share that with others? I mean, that's if you haven't read his book 25 hours a day, it really gives you more of a definition of that mindset and where that came from. When people read that, they go, "Oh, it's one more rep in the gym or one more mile or one more whatever." That is part of it, right? But don't miss that the idea is that in the constructs of the last 100 years, we think that certain things can only fit in certain spots of the day, and that if you don't hit it in that window, well, that day's gone and you've kind of lost it. There's an idea he talks about in that book of winning the day,
Hmm.
and having that goal in our mindset means that you're not going to stop at some little hurdle that comes in your way. You're going to figure out a new way and still try to finish that task or make progress on that task in that day. So that go or more mindset is just like just a tenacity to never give up on what you're doing. And there's always an option. There's always a time. You just have to make priority for it.
And I feel like since like he built that like go one more mindset, like that's how he like transitioned his company from like starting from like $15,000 revenue till now like multi-millionaire company. Like,
Exactly.
so like with like your supplements, like you guys are one of the leading supplements companies in the world. Like how would you guys like how would you guys say like how do you guys separate yourself from like other competitors like with all your supplements?
Yeah, so that's a question that gets asked to the company a lot is like, well, like how do y'all compare yourself to your competitors and how do you like combat that? And it's a number of questions and a number of variants. It's a focus on what we're doing for our customers. So previous to working here, I worked at Dell for 7 years and I sold data center equipment. Data center equipment, if you've never been around that stuff, it's just big computers. But in order to sell that stuff and for it to work effectively when it gets to their environment, you have to understand the customer's needs. It's the same thing we do here. That's how we set ourselves apart is not only do we educate and provide value, we also take what our customers are looking for. So a lot of it has been what we use here. I mean, we make these products and sell these products because we personally use them and have found them very effective.
Mm-hmm.
So to continue to grow and not worry about what our competitors do, we try to understand what our customer needs and how they're going to be using it.
Mm-hmm. Next, like I want to like transition our podcast to like the real reason like we wanted to hop onto this podcast was like to talk about like your journey and like how where you are now and like how what it took to you to get to where you are now. So like
Yeah.
because like you were pretty, I would say like I know about your story like watching your YouTube videos and like having a call with you before. So like you're pretty gritty and like perseverance. Like the main like purpose of my podcast is like to inspire people to be grit to develop grit and be perseverance because like I want to be able to help individuals like develop a passion of theirs or like a goal of theirs, right? And then
Yep.
being able to like make a plan for them or for them like to be inspired by me and like make their own plan. And the most important thing, like being able to execute it. Like that's the
Yep.
main thing I want to make my podcast about is being it's just to be inspiring to others. So like I want like to go back a little bit further before you worked at BPN because like you said you worked at Enterprise and then like you felt like you lost happiness working at this company and then you found a
Yep.
passion in fitness and now you're working at BPN.
Yeah, I mean, so when I graduated college, I went to Texas A&M. I graduated in 2012. And I'll kind of back up just a step. Like I went through school thinking when I left, I was going to work in the real estate space. I went to do like land appraisal. So Texas has lots of land and that land gets acquired by businesses and roads. And that's what my friend's dad did. And so I was like, that's what I'm going to do. Well, when I graduated, the real estate market wasn't that great. And the appraisal market is even more of a niche environment. And so I didn't have job opportunities. So I tried to get into the oil field. I tried to get into a number of spaces and really just kept hitting my head on the wall and wasn't getting anywhere. All through college, I was in tandem, was working at Best Buy and had always had a sales job. So I just kept working there. And I met a friend here in Georgetown that he wanted to work for Enterprise Rent-A-Car. He went to college, got his degree in entrepreneurship, and that company is known for taking people that want to work for a company and then at some point manage a branch. And so I said, man, that's exciting. Like that's way better than what I'm doing here because it gives me more opportunity to grow. I'm just not growing here at Best Buy.
Mm-hmm.
So I applied, got the job, was in the job and loved it, man. Like I was succeeding in all their little tests and programs and I mean, I'm working 60 hours a week, not making a whole lot, like washing cars and suits, and none of that bothered me. But what bothered me is I wasn't like I was hitting another ceiling. I had this passion to push and get to greater levels because I knew that I needed to get to a position or a task that challenged me every day. So I just felt like I wasn't being challenged, or really I just wasn't being given the opportunity to be challenged. No one believed in me. And I had a friend that I'd met through a car group that worked for Dell. He did the same job that I started out in selling data center equipment. He said, hey, you've worked for Best Buy for a number of years. I think you could do this job. And I said, I've only sold laptops. Like, I don't know anything about data center equipment. He said, hey, man, I think you do great for the job. They'll train you. So long story short, I found this job at Dell. And I thought, hey, this is that transition of like, I was at Best Buy. I'm kind of on a downhill. I go to Enterprise Rent-A-Car. I get this uphill, like this passion, like I'm pushing myself again. And then it kind of trickled off. And again, go to Dell, same thing. And I was there for 7 years, and I was there for that and would have continued without this position because there was always this opportunity to push yourself into new roles, into new positions where you were stretched.
Mm-hmm.
And when the video you're referencing is kind of like my why of why I ended up coming here. Not only did I just want to be surrounded by people chasing the same goal, but it was just a fact that I wanted to be challenged in an area that was my passion. Selling is my passion. Helping others grow is my passion, but I don't think my purpose was to sell data center equipment forever. I had all in that last 7 years a weight loss journey where I lost weight and again lost that passion, found powerlifting, got strong, lost that passion. And I think to kind of sum all that up and how I ended up here is just one, Nick saw a perseverance of like constantly trying to evolve and chase goals, and don't misconstrue that as constantly chasing new things like every 2 weeks, but chasing a goal that pushes you and just keep hammering until that door breaks down and keep hammering through it until it becomes something that you're great at and then trying something new. That's one of the main reasons I'm here. And then the second piece is just like being a part of a team that is constantly trying to stretch themselves. That's, if you see through the theme throughout all of my last like 10 years of job, is where I found purpose and passion was when I was being pushed to the point where it's stressful. I want to give up. I don't think I'm good at it. I don't think I'm the best at it. And then you get people such as yourself reaching out to me. You get people in my job saying like, man, I want to do what you do. I want to get as good at that job as you are. And you're kind of humbled. You're like, wait, like people see me as a leader in this spot. I don't think that, but it's because I was constantly like, to me, this was work and this is just who I am. And I'm always chasing to grow.
The most important thing I feel like was like what you said, like once you hit like a wall, right? Being able to overcome that. But like I feel like in like our generation, like once people like hit a wall, like what I was talking about, like if they have a passion of theirs, like they start that idea and however like maybe a couple months in, like their passion just stops and like they don't get redirected to somewhere. They just stop completely and they go back to where they were before. And like just having like they start having bad habits. They try to fix that stuff, but then like they just go back to it even though like they know it's bad for them. Like what would you say for like those people like to overcome like those hurdles?
Yeah, so it's something we recently talked about in the Bear Performance podcast. We did team podcast, and the question was like, how do you continue to chase these goals? Because the person that was asking is like, people always tend to be, and it's exactly how you said, they find this new goal, this new passion, and they chase it and chase it, and then it's like a hot and cold. And I see a lot of people in that for job pursuits, or even in the fitness space, and they're either all in or they're all out. And I think the one thing that will help these individuals, maybe it's two things, but the one thing I will attribute my success to and being able to chase these goals consistently and continue to hammer on whatever it is, chip away at it each day, is discipline. But that discipline for me and how I define that definition is having certain routines in my day that I don't let go. That thing I said earlier about winning the day, that's what I implemented in my day. That's how I took that into my day. Is it's waking up at 5 a.m. and having time to eat my breakfast and get emails done before I come into work. It's training every day. If that's in the morning, middle of the day, or at night, having that done. Having time where I get home to be able to put my daughter down and give her a bath and put her to bed and kiss her goodbye. Like, those things for me continue to help me hammer the goals that I want to achieve. If I let one of those go, I didn't win that day. It's a bad day for me. And it makes me just like that much more hungry to chase it the next day. So it's like defining what your non-negotiables are and having those happen every single day.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's how you end up chasing these goals for the long term. And it's not just like, here's my life before this weight loss journey. Here's what I did to get there. And then, well, I've hit the end of it and I don't know what to do. What things in there worked, and just continue those on.
Right. For me, like what you said about like winning the day, like for me, like I know I told you about this, like I have a diary that I keep, and every single day I write 5 goals. And like those are the 5 goals that I have to complete for today. Like, because like what I learned from others is like there are 7 days in a week. And then if you win 5 or 6 of those days of the week, you win the week. And then if you change it into a larger scale, there's 12 months. And then if you win 10 months of the 10 of the 12 months, then you ultimately win the year. So like for me, like all those steps that we talk about, like that help us get to the end goal. Like what, like when an individual see you like, oh, like you're a leader, but like they say like, oh, like I want to do this, but like I don't think I can. But like they don't know like what you did, how you got there. Like you could, like you squatted what, 435 as your PR.
Yep.
Yeah. So like with that, like that maybe it was like 10 years in the making for you just to get to that spot. Like they don't know that. They just think that you could lift heavy, and like they don't know there's baby steps to it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, and especially in the social business world of seeing people that are influencers that start businesses and they make millions, and they're like, I want that. And some of those individuals come out with a course that says, hey, this is how I got there. That's fine, right? It's a blueprint. It's a plan. It's just like anything, like even you see it in the workout space. But again, the part is like time. Time is something you can never speed up. It doesn't go away. You can't get it back. You can't speed it up. You just have to be comfortable in that process and continue on, because when you see somebody do something great, you might be able to do that much faster than I did, but you have to learn from the few non-negotiable pieces that I learned way later in that process to get there. you might be able to implement them now and speed the process up, but it will never just come overnight.
Right, right. Like with like the whole discipline thing, like as like for me and like my audience, like we're all like all my followers like basically college students. Like our stuff is like go to college, study, and like if you have like you work a job as well, and then if my element is like working out, fitness, and then my family, like family. So like I always have like those three things. Like for me, like you gotta put 100% effort into it. Like if someone has like a busy day, right, and then they might like do half of the work just to get through that day. Like for me, like to get full and like where I need to be, like because I want to hit a 1,000. You know, have you heard of the $1,000? I mean, not $1,000, the 1,000 pound deadlift, deadlift, bench press, and squat, right? The $1,000,
Yep.
1,000 pound. I was
Yeah.
saying, so like my goal is to hit that in December. So like I have to go 100% in training. Like I also want a 4.0. Like I have to put 100% in studying, and then like I want to help out my family. Like I have to work and put 100% into working and not like missing a shift to help my family out.
Yeah, I mean, exactly what you said about having to win the minute, win the hour, win the day, the month, and the year, and the so on. Like having more wins than losses, and you have to have this perspective that it's not like you kind of have to have two views. You kind of have to have that micro, very close view, and then that macro view of like, did I actually win it? And something I'll leave with your viewers that I learned from my mentor was that once a week, and it doesn't have to be an hour, but once a week, spending time being almost like in review of that week. Did I win more days than not? Did I have good conversations? Because for me, it was a leader. I was like, I don't know how I'm doing well. And he's like, did you have more good conversations than bad ones? It's continually having that close and far away view where you're able to know, am I winning? And
Hmm.
having that mindset and that view should allow you to be more successful rather than like, I'm only looking in this minute and I'm not succeeding right now. So that means I've lost the entire year. But really, you haven't.
Right. Like, do you mind like explaining like what you do every single day? Like, what's a day in the life of Daniel Clanton?
Yeah, I mean, so the hours here from a building construct of like being inside the HQ is 8 to 4, but I start my day at home, at 5, and it's loose, right? Like I'm eating breakfast, I'm waking up, and I'm checking email and checking Instagram. So when I come in at 8, I've hopefully already done emails, and I'm starting to kind of converse with the team, and it might just be like, what did you do last night, or oh, that training that we did last night, like I'm really sore from that. But that time is team building, that's fellowship, and you may not get that in college, but maybe you do in the morning sync up with some of your friends or your family and just say, hey, what's up, or I love you, whatever it is.
Hmm.
As I get into the morning, it's starting to, if I don't have any calls and it's not like it is now where it's a launch and a application process, I start to look at I have a calendar invite on my calendar. I have a calendar invite each day that has 10 to 15 names of ambassadors and athletes, and I go seek out their page. I see a lot of their content throughout the day, but in order to feel organized and that I'm actually kind of checking the box of like being engaged with what they're doing, I go frequent their page, comment on their stuff, look at their stories, look at what they've been posting for the last couple of days. And then the rest of it's kind of loose because internally, I mean, my title is director of business operations, so that means I'm collaborating with Preston, who's the COO. I'm collaborating with John, who's kind of the manager of the whole logistics warehouse, all that. So we're having meetings about our new automation that we're putting in. We have meetings about new products, new movements and programs and stuff that we're doing for the far off future. So it's not the only thing that's constant, like I said, is waking up, checking emails, coming in and syncing with a team, looking at my athletes and ambassadors, and then working out. And then the rest of it is very fluid. Yeah, that's a typical day currently.
Right, right. Lastly, one thing I want to ask you is because my dream goal, like I think I told you, is like being able to like bridge the gap, like the interaction between doctors and patients. So
Yep.
like for me, like becoming like a fitness athlete, like what are some advice you would give me right now?
Yeah, I mean, if you have or you're going to start like a social platform, is just kind of what we said earlier is engage with the people that want to engage with you.
Hmm.
Now, I say that with a grain of salt that if there are people that are kind of hating on you, like just kind of ignore that or like people have always told me, kill them with kindness. But just be engaged with the people that want to follow you. Those are the ones who actively support you. Those are your fans. Those are your loyal people. So engage with them early and often. Don't step over dollars to pick up pennies.
Mm-hmm.
Work on those people that are truly want to learn from you because they see you as a value added resource.
Right, right. And then lastly, before we end this podcast, is there anything you want to promote with like any projects you're working on or just BPN in general? The floor is all yours.
Yeah, I mean, we're like I was saying in the beginning, we're going through the application process now, and we launch it every quarter. So tentative date is either going to be November 1st or December 1st, just depending what we decide as a team. But so that's going to happen every quarter. So if any of y'all are looking to be a part of that program, that opens up. The other thing I will say is build a team around you that supports what you're doing and they're chasing the same goals, but don't fill it with people that only support everything you do. Have people that challenge you, because that's something that I find really effective here is we say it now is like the best idea wins, meaning that everybody's chasing the same goal, but yet your idea won't always win. And that creates this competitive environment. But surround yourself with people that support you, because that can also be kind of tear you down too if your idea never wins. You have to have people that support you and say, hey man, that's an excellent idea. It's just not the right idea for this time. So
Right.
that's kind of the two things. So find that group around you, and then our ambassador program opens up towards the end of this year.
Mm-hmm. You said November 1st, right?
It's either going to be November 1st or December 1st. I guess I got excited and launched it August 1st, and it should have been September 1st. But either way,
Right,
so
right.
tentative November 1st, possibly December 1st.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you for coming on. And then once again, guys, this is Daniel Clanton, Business Director of Operations for Bear Performance Nutrition.
Awesome. Thanks, man.